morning we're going to start with a quiz, and it's a picture quiz, and I'm going to show you some things and I want you to tell me what they all have in common. Okay, so there we go. There's a radio, there's a computer, there's a television screen, there's a hairdryer, there's a toaster, and there's a heater. What have they all got in common? Well, let me see. A heater and a toaster and a hairdryer, they all get hot. So that could be what everything's got in common. Do you know, a television screen shouldn't get hot, and a computer, you're really worried if it got hot, and the radio doesn't ever get hot, so it can't be that. You get sound on a radio, you get sound from your computer, you get sound obviously from television, you get sound when a hairdryer blows, and I suppose a toaster when it pops up, that makes a sound. But a heater like that doesn't make a sound, does it? So it can't be that. Heater is made with metal. A toaster is made with metal. A hairdryer? Not always made of metal though, is it? And a television screen, that's more glass, isn't it? And the same with a computer. A computer isn't really metal, is it? And a radio, apart from that little aerial bit, it's not usually made of metal at all, so it can't be that. Did you give up? It's really easy, really easy. Every single one of them needs a power source. It needs batteries, or it needs plugged in. Obviously a television needs to be plugged in. A hairdryer, you can even see it's flexed for being plugged in, and a toaster would make no toast at all if it wasn't plugged in somewhere. And the same with this kind of heater, you can see it's flexed down here. So they all need something to give them power. Now, my head has been in the way of the clock, so I'm going to move it now and you'll see something else. It's quite small, so I'm going to go and get it like last week, but this time I'm going to go and get it and come back to you, okay? Okay, it's a lot closer now, and it is a cool, well, I think it's cool, helicopter. I think it's a sort of gyro helicopter. I don't know. I'm not very technical about these things. This helicopter works with this. It's a remote controlled helicopter, and it's my husband's. And he's had it for ages. And he's had it for ages, and it doesn't work anymore. Why do you think it doesn't work anymore? Because the batteries in the remote controller have gone flat. So it's got no power. So it just sits there, and it can't do anything at all. Can't fly, can't do anything until we put batteries back in it. So even though sometimes it has power, it doesn't have power at the moment. The power runs out. And all those pictures that I showed you, if we had a power cut, none of them would work, would they? Today's story is about something that would work if there was no power in your house, something that never needs a battery, and it doesn't need plugged in, and it's a very special person. We've been talking all about the time before Jesus was alive. Today, we're going to talk about Jesus. And Jesus has power that doesn't need to be plugged in, that never runs out, and is always there for everyone. Now, last week, we talked about Naaman. And Naaman having to dip himself 7 times, do you remember, in that filthy, horrible River Jordan? Well, this is a story about Jesus and about someone else who had leprosy. Now, do you remember I told you what a horrible disease leprosy was? The other thing that leprosy was, and at the moment we know all about something that is contagious or infectious. Leprosy, if I had leprosy, and people believed then if I touched you, I could give you leprosy. Now, the more we know about leprosy, and we know a lot about leprosy now, we know that's not exactly true. But in those days, people were very, very scared of anyone who had leprosy. In fact, anyone who had a bit of a funny looking skin disease, they believed they might have leprosy. And so what do you think they did? Now, nowadays, we know just now that what happens is people have to stay far away from one another, the 2 meters distance, and they mustn't hug. And it's really quite sad, all the things that are going on just now. But in Jesus' time, it wasn't just stay 2 meters away. Oh, no, 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 no. People who had skin conditions like that could be leprosy, they had to go right out of the city. They had to leave their families and they had to go and live far away on their own. The only people they could live with would be other people who had leprosy. And maybe their families would bring them food, but they would just bring them to like a stone out near where the poor people with leprosy lived, and just leave the food and then go away. And all the people who lived in the same place with that same condition, skin condition, if someone came near them, they had to ring a bell. Now, that would be a warning. There's something wrong, don't come near. That was bad enough. But they actually had to ring a bell and say, stay away, we're unclean. We're just horrible. We're just worth nothing. We're awful people. They weren't awful people. They were ill. But nobody would come near them. And nobody would show them any love. And they had a terrible life. Imagine living like that. Whenever you saw somebody, instead of being able to wave and say hello, you had to ring a bell and say, go away, don't come near me, it's too dangerous. That would be terrible. Well, one day, Jesus was walking along the road and a man came to him, a man with leprosy. He kept his distance, but he came and he knelt down near Jesus and he said the most amazing thing. I know who you are, he said. I know you're Jesus, and I know that you have the power to heal me if you want to. Jesus looked at him. When Jesus was on this earth, not all the people recognized who he was. Not all the people ever gave him that sort of sentence, I know you are so powerful and you can heal me. Sometimes Jesus showed others that he was powerful and he could heal, and then they said, oh, wow, you really are special. But this man, who had lived far away from anyone else, had heard about Jesus, and all by himself, he had had the faith to realize that Jesus was the special gift from God. And because he had that faith, he waited for Jesus to come along. And I think he had the faith to know that Jesus would come along. And then he said, when he saw Jesus, I know that you can heal me. Now that was amazing enough. But Jesus wasn't on his own. He had people with him. And what he did next must have shocked those people so much. Because Jesus reached out his hand and took the hand of the man with leprosy. Can you imagine what all the other people did? Oh, but they went, oh, no, you must never touch them. No. They would be astonished. Jesus just smiled. While he was holding the man's hand and looking him right in the eye, he said, you've been healed. And the man who was the leper, the one who had the leprosy, he'd been so busy looking at Jesus that he hadn't looked at his skin till Jesus said that. And when he looked, it was true. Jesus had healed him, just like that. All his skin was back to being the way he remembered it before the leprosy. How amazed he must have been. And Jesus said, now, what you have to do is you have to go back into that town and you have to go to the priests and you have to show them that you don't have leprosy anymore. And then when you've done that, you'll be able to go back to your family. And nobody will be able to say it was a trick. And nobody will be able to say, that didn't happen, because you will be there saying exactly what you did when you met me on the road. But you know what? Because I am who I am, you didn't have to do anything. A long time ago, you might know of a story about a man who had to put himself into a dirty river 7 times. I don't ask you to do anything, because I'm ready to be there for you if you have faith in me. Thank you for having faith in me. And the man who didn't have leprosy went back into his town to show everyone his beautiful, clean skin. And Jesus went on his way. And Jesus' power never got switched off. Jesus' power has never been switched off. We know at Easter time, people tried to take Jesus' power away. But Jesus proved that he was so powerful that nobody, anywhere, anytime can overcome Jesus' love. His love is all powerful. And that's what I'd like you to remember. Even though we might be finding things very strange just now, and we might be missing hugs. Remember, I've told you I miss my hugs. But Jesus is there, hugging us all the time. His arms are wide stretched out for the whole world. How wonderful to know that Jesus is with us and his power is never switched off, never overcome. Just you remember that. You have a wonderful friend in Jesus, and he never, never, never turns anyone away. I'll see you next week. Bye.